Lately, I find myself trying to remember the direction I took to get here, how it is I came to get all this gear, and its purpose in my grand master plan. I look around at all these pieces of equipment that I collected over the years, each of them like a little puzzle piece in my own personal jigsaw, and slowly but surely, I'm learning how they all fit together, and why I even had this plan in the first place. To DAW or not to DAW? That seems to be the burning question as of late, not just for me, but for everybody. With the rise of these workstations becoming so powerful, I think they're starting to hit the door in a box nail right on the head at the moment. And like a lot of you, I'm pretty confused about the difference lately, and I really like that. I enjoy that the line is becoming blurred because it means it's giving birth to the rise of the hybrid setup, which is exactly why I purchased and made all of these decisions with my gear in the first place. Which is why I wanted to showcase it a little bit, yarn about DAW versus DAWless, and make something along the way, hopefully that doesn't sound crap. So let's jump in. Alright, so a little bit of setup spaghetti. I got the Ableton push here, which is going to act as the hub for my little DAWless jam. I've got the Digitone, which is handling my MIDI in through the external setup mode. The Model 12 is handling all of the audio in. And then when we switch over, the Model 12 acts as an interface into Ableton Live. Every good DAWless approach usually starts with the click or the drums, just something that gets the piece moving. The reason why it normally starts like that is because these workstations work around a clip-based or sequence-based approach. I always start with my drums, so I'm going to start with drums today. I'm just going to go and have a bit of a look in my kits and packs. I like that kit sound. What I love about the push is it's just pretty simple approach. We've got a fair few layouts. I really like this velocities layout because it allows me to play around with these hat sounds and get accents going really quickly, which I think makes a big difference when you're programming drums. I like to chuck repeat on. I'm going to change some swing. Cool. I think that sounds pretty good. Alright, so now I've got that beat sort of going. I like to go in and just copy and paste these into my sections, and I just make sort of like a verse and a chorus out of it. It's a pretty simple approach, but it sort of makes it easy to sort of sound out a song. So yeah, once you've sort of fleshed things out, you've got yourself a pretty simple intro and a pretty simple chorus. Just out of 4 bars. I think that's pretty easy, pretty simple and pretty straightforward, all right? I think the biggest attraction of going DAWless is the lack of a computer and working with a mouse and a keyboard. For a lot of people, the tactile function of buttons and knobs and just this like playability that happens with DAWless stuff is just so attractive for people who spend all day on the computer. It puts you back in charge of the piece of equipment, and in my opinion, it's less overwhelming to make decisions when you have these knobs and buttons. And I just really feel like it's so much easier to get a creative spark from something like that. What we're looking for when we turn our equipment on is to be inspired and to immediately sort of get this thing moving. So I think for me, the biggest thing about the DAWless approach is actually just having that spark, happen so easily because it's just like it removes a lot of the stuff that you can do. So I like the limitations of the DAWless stuff. I like that my box is more limited because it creates a spark easier. So now I want to go ahead and just chuck in like a pretty simple melody. I normally just try and get like a pad or something just in the background to help move the melody in, and then the main lines sort of come to me after that. I kind of like that. I think that's good. Cool. I think that's pretty sweet. Just something sort of like in the background. It doesn't have to be like crazy. It just picks the melodies up, you know? And then this time I'm going to look for a sound that sort of complements that, all right? I like this. This is pretty nice. Cool, I think that will be my intro. I think they're really nice. So yeah, I'm just gonna flesh that out a little bit more. Cool, I like that a lot. I think that's pretty cool. I'm gonna move on to the chorus part. Cool. I think that's pretty sweet as well. Cool, so I want to add some bass because I think the track needs it. I'm just going to start with the intro and just play the bass along with it and just record it as I go. I've got the digitone here to handle the bass. Pretty simple. When I want to hit record, I just hit it there. So there you go, just a pretty simple verse, chorus, intro. I go really hard when I make an actual track, but this is just a muck around. So yeah, it's pretty easy to just get something rolling like this, don't you reckon? So I know a lot of us probably go a lot further with a track like that, but I just want to show you how simple it is to convert that over into our DAW. Like, if I want to just go straight from this and jump in and start using things like EQ, compressors, mastering tools, and really just start fleshing out like all of the mix down stuff, I really prefer doing that inside of a DAW. And that's why I lean towards this hybrid setup, because it really makes that process so much more simple. So we're inside of my DAW, we're inside of Ableton Live. I just go down here to push, go to my projects, and here it is. It names it these weird names for some reason. I'm going under Ruckus of the Mask project. So I literally just open that up inside of Ableton and that's it. Like, that's literally it. And now my project just exists inside of Ableton. I want to be able to get this stuff as simply as I can into my DAW so that I can start working on it and sculpting it, because some things are just better done inside of that world. Just this other stuff, like the workhorse stuff that you have to do when you're mixing down a track. I love the idea of the hybrid setup because it uses the power of all of this stuff but then it also harnesses the spark. It harnesses the creativity that's left inside these boxes. What makes these boxes so great is just having that groove, starting that beat, fleshing it out. So when we're working in a workstation like the Push Standalone, the MPC, Octatrack, these big workstations, I think it's pretty easy to get comfortable with the tools there, but what I really want to focus on is the time. Doing like your flat run-of-the-mill compression, EQ, stereo modeling, like all this stuff that's sort of pretty boring with a mixdown, I don't get tons of enjoyment out of that. It's not really creative for me, that part of the mixing. I love the automation, I love recording automation, modulation, all these things, but when it comes to like EQ, compression, limiting, multiband dynamics, like those things are pretty utilitarian, and I just feel like it's just way better and way easier inside of a DAW. So that's my personal approach. I just feel like the time that I spend inside these boxes is better creating instead of sculpting. And if I'm just going to do the same things that I was going to do in a DAW anyway, but 5 times faster, why am I using this tool? We have all these tools at our disposal. We might as well use the best tool for the job and not just out of protest use these tools just because we can. And that's why I went to the hybrid workflow. So yeah, long story short, for me, it's just about using the right tool for the job. I'm not going to go and make a drum line inside of Ableton. Like, I don't like clicking in my drums. But when it comes to doing like things that are just going to take 5 times as long in the Push or the MPC, I just go and do it because it's like I like my time. I like to spend my time creating and being inspired. So yeah, the DAW and the DAWless thing, it's like this blurred line. It really feels like the DAWless crowd is just like resistant to the idea of a DAW, but like the reality is they're all DAWs. Like these are all DAWs. We're using a DAW in a box now. And yeah, if your version of like EQ is fine, then you like using that version, then awesome. If it's enough for you, then that's awesome. But for me, I was just getting frustrated trying to do full mixes inside of these devices. I use these things in a way that they benefit me. Like I like to use them and not let them use me. I'm not creating a story from my pieces of gear. I'm just using these gear to create my story. And that's the way I think of it. So yeah, I think it's just about finding your bottleneck in your approach, just finding where that bottleneck is in your process and really honing in and saying, is that time I really like spending? Do I really like spending time making sure individual samples are bounced out properly, to the right sample rates, like a right volume? Do I enjoy that? Would I rather be creating? And that's the line for me. Finding the bottleneck and finding out what's really important. DAW, DAWless, I don't think it really matters in the end. And that's just my opinion. As always, I want to have a little bit of a jam. I've got a couple sounds. Let's just play around. Thank you so much to everybody who watches this channel. Thanks for sharing your stories, your thoughts. Leave a comment below if you want me to cover something specific. I love making videos for everybody. So yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one.